Leanne Perry, thank you for joining us. Could you please tell us about where the Dr. Leanne Perry story started?
I was born and grew up in a little place called Point Clare, which is on the central coast of New South Wales. When I was at university, as I said, I was on a scholarship, and I was on a Commonwealth Teaching Service scholarship because it paid the most for living away from home. And one of the provisos of that was that in your final year you had to do an extended teaching prac in a Commonwealth territory. I'll go to the Northern Territory, so I asked to be placed in an Indigenous school. So I was given a placement for the 4 to 6 weeks I was there, and then was appointed to my first teaching role at St Pat's College in Townsville. So I spent 3 years at St Pat's. I moved back to Sydney, and I obtained a position at a school called Domremy College. I came back north and went to Corpus Christi at Nunda. As it turned out, it was a case of getting a job where one could get a job in those days. Teaching goes in waves. There's often been times when there's been teacher surpluses and teacher shortages. So I didn't choose those schools for any particular reason other than I wanted to teach at a school, and after my first school I decided Catholic schools was really where I would prefer to be.
Why?
I found a whole range of reasons, but probably the biggest was that the tangible experience of working in a faith community.
Do you think all Catholic schools now follow that commitment and still send that message out to parents of students at Catholic schools?
I believe they do. I've had the opportunity, both when I was in schools myself, visiting up college schools and so on, and in this role visiting lots of different Catholic schools, is that is a really conscious part of what Catholic schools do.
Was it a big challenge to move from being a teacher to being a principal?
So when I was appointed to Mount Carmel at Wynnum, which was the first school I was principal at, I was, as I said, still relatively young, and so it was a steep learning curve. But I'd had these wonderful role models before me. As I said, all of the schools I'd worked at up until that time had female leaders or religious women, all different, very, very different, but characterised, one, by their obvious faith commitment, by their lived expression of values, but also by their willingness to take risks, to trust, to give you opportunities.
Speaking of opportunities, going to All Hallows must have been a wonderful opportunity that you were offered then.
Absolutely. I mean, All Hallows is an iconic school in Brisbane, as well as in terms of the Catholic school community. So an amazing school with a rich tradition, but a tradition of change and innovation and leadership in the education of young women.
Highlights in your career and highlights in your personal life.
I've been given lots of opportunities through that time. I mean, I've worked hard, and I've, as I said earlier, put my hand up for lots of things. But I've been given opportunities and have had the opportunity to work with just amazing people. You know, we were blessed to have our son Gabriel, who is the angel of our of our life. That has to be and continues to be one of the greatest gifts I've ever been given is the privilege of being a parent.
We talked before about the accolades and things that you've received. Some of the comments that your past students have said about you, it's just like everyone has just been blown away by you as a teacher, a principal, a friend, a mentor. Some of the comments: best principal ever, speeches never disappoint, full of humour, fun, impressive, lucky to have her wisdom, and we can relate to her. How does that make you feel?
Oh, I said it was a privilege to be part of that. I mean, and that's the joy that comes from being in community. I feel really humbled by that.
All right, keeping the faith in our schools. Is that hard?
Well, faith is a lived, it's a personal lived experience, and schools, Catholic schools in particular, are called to nurture that faith. It's challenging. I think it probably has always been challenging, but it's particularly challenging in the society in which we live now. The other really pervasive factor now is we are, I believe, a much more individualistic society. That's one of the, I think, the things that schools can offer is that sense of community, because other influences, social media, traditional media, really actually emphasise the individual rather than who we are as part of community.
Does Dr. Leanne Perry have a dream, and what would you like to do next?
I would hope I would continue to make a difference, a positive difference.
Well, can I just say, I think our Catholic schools are in great hands having you behind that desk.
Thank you. Thank you,
And
Donna.
thank you for sharing the story with us.
Been a delight.